falls on the very first day of the month. So it's special. Of the Father. And when you study the Bible, you see that God always had a very clear agenda, a definite purpose for His world that He created, for the universe that He created, and for man in particular. A very definite purpose. We don't live for nothing, like some people think. There's a clear purpose, a clear agenda. If you're ignorant of the Bible, you wouldn't know this. You can only guess. You can only assume that there is or that there isn't. But when you understand the Scriptures, you'd find a consistency and a clarity of purpose. Clarity of vision. And the most important thing for men to do is to discover their purpose and live it. How important that is. That's the most important thing for men to do. As for human beings, discover, meaning live, grow old, and die without ever discovering a purpose for life. They just live through. Things may turn out well. It's so easy to drift, to move the way the world moves you, the way circumstances lead you. And that's one of the most terrible things in life, to live according to circumstances. Whether they favor you or disfavor you, it makes no difference. Because if you live a life of emptiness, you alone would know the frustration in your heart. Others may not know. For those who may look at you with all the elements of human success and think you're happy. But you alone would know the frustration of your life. But when you discover your purpose, not one that you assume, one that's based on a true relationship with God, not an assumption or a speculation. When you really come to know Him, and to be in fellowship with Him, then and then only can you comfort Him and say, yes, I know my reason for life. And then fulfill it. Fulfill it. And of course, if you discover it by His help, by the power of the Holy Spirit, He will help you fulfill it. He promised to. He said He would. He would help you make it happen. Sometimes there are those who are actually in the line of their calling in life. They may not know that God chose them for that. They probably don't have enough knowledge on that wise. But they're just going on. As the journey in life has been. Well, that helps to a certain extent. Because on that journey will be adversaries and adversities. And when you hit them, if you are not connected with the one who knows what to be done, to go beyond that point, then the journey is truncated. Then the unexpected, and life is destroyed, even though you were on the right path, because you never found out from the one who actually planned your life what His whole plan is and how to fully fulfill that goal. That's why it's important that no matter how wonderful it's been for you, right, I've had a great ride, but if you're not in fellowship with the Spirit of God who created you in the first place and who determined the greater purpose for your life, and how are you going to fulfill it to His pleasure? We live for His pleasure. He doesn't live for us, we live for Him. We live for Him. So this is a beautiful month of March, and it's great to take off on the first day like this. Beautiful journey. And in this month, we'll be having, by close to the middle of it, Friday the 13th through Sunday the 15th, Hidden Streams Live Healing Services. And that will be amazing. It's going to be great. You heard a lot about it earlier in the program. It's going to be awesome. So make sure to prepare for it. Get ready for it. Tell others about it. Help them prepare for it. And oh, how our world needs divine healing today. The intervention of God in a situation. We are in a day that even the medical practice, medical science has become unreliable because it's been hijacked. Well, I shouldn't say it's been hijacked. It was hijacked. It's not just happening. It happened a long time ago. Really. Hijacked by those with a terrible satanic agenda. And for a long time they were thought to be nice people, because it's easy to assume that someone's trying to help you when you're in need. But think about all the terrible things they've done to this world. And it's one of the reasons we should be concerned about who our leaders are. I saw in the news the other day, in California, United States, a lady was threatened that if she would not allow her 13-year-old daughter to have a sex change according to her so-called desire, the authorities will come and take her away from her. So the government will become the parent. This is terrible. If we had such a thing in some countries, we would say, well, that's a terrible country. But there are some countries that are very significant in the world. And the United States definitely is one of them, if not the biggest of them. Which means it matters to all of us what happens in the United States. What is happening in California is not acceptable, because then they lose the moral power to help others and to deter others from doing such things. It's not acceptable. So we're going to visit that another day. But I think that we soon need to decide. I think it's obvious already, of course, but it looks like the Democrats' party that's making these kind of things happen is probably not a political party, but a cult. Maybe it's about time that anyone who's thinking right should reconsider whether that's a party or not. It's not a political party. It used to be, maybe some time ago. But in the last decade or so, it's changed. It's changed. So what's happening there in California is unacceptable. And the trouble is, they're doing these kind of things in a clandestine way. Many don't realize it's happening. So you must allow your child to make a decision, a child to decide whether, having been born a girl, she wants to be a guy or not. What's going into their heads? A child doesn't have the intelligence or wisdom or maturity to make such a decision. Even for adults, it's a bad decision, a bad proposition that shouldn't even be presented to an adult. But the reason this is happening is because Satanists have hijacked that organization that used to be a political party, the Democrats party. Something's gone wrong. So, following the message of this month, we're going to consider what's going on there very seriously. We have to understand the Bible declares the heavens do rule.
Yes, sir.
And then I did talk about the vaccines the other day. You would have thought that by now, those who were championing vaccinations should have stopped all the talk about it. But just like the devil, they are unrepentant. And they continue to pressurize governments and pressurize organizations and individuals to get vaccinated. Anybody who's telling you to get vaccinated is not only ignorant, like the Bible says, is foolish. Is ignorant and is foolish. First, he doesn't even know what a vaccine is. He thinks he does. He doesn't. Secondly, he doesn't even know the purpose of the vaccine. He thinks he does. He doesn't. Doesn't matter how many professorship he has, he's ignorant. I've told you, right from the very beginning of vaccinations, it was a fraud. From the very beginning, the idea behind it is a fraud. No wise person would ask you to get vaccinated when they understand what vaccines are. None. You say, Pastor Christ, what about all those doctors helping to do the vaccinations? They were all ignorant. In 2020, before the vaccines came out, I warned you about the vaccines. I told you they were planning to get you vaccinated. And I told you what the vaccines were about and not to take it. And that helped us save so many and to destroy that vaccination agenda. But I also told you that aside the mRNA vaccines, no vaccine was ever good. They never worked. They don't work. They only work for those who plan them, for the purpose for which they were set up. And those vaccines were only set up for satanic reasons. They were never positive. Okay, let me show you this video. Watch this. I think you should see this. And hear the voices of the unvaccinated. I'll give you some information. Watch this.
What is happening? Chronic disease has gone from 12.8% in our children in the 1980s to over 54% of our kids now. That's the greatest decline in human health that's ever been recorded. But when we're talking about an autoimmune disease crisis, shouldn't we look closest at the one product that's designed to alter our immune system for life? And we don't just inject it 1 time or 2 times or 10 times or 15 times or 20 times or 50 times. 72 times we are altering the immune system for our children with our vaccine program. There'd be one easy study to rule it out, comparing vaccinated children to completely unvaccinated children. But we don't know because they've never done the study.
Big Pharma has created the illusion, in the eyes of many, that no one can truly live a healthy life without being vaccinated.
If you haven't been vaccine injured, or you didn't have a loved one and you understood that they were vaccine injured, you didn't know about how dangerous vaccines can be, right? Remember that for 100 years, the American public has been inculcated with these ideas: vaccines are safe and effective, vaccines are safe and effective, vaccines are safe and effective. And the information about vaccine injury had been censored for a long time. Most Americans and most people around the world would have had no idea that if you got a vaccine, you could become paralyzed, you could have a stroke, you could have a neurodegenerative injury, you could die. Most people that would not enter into their consciousness that it could be that severe.
I told you it was a fraud on science. And I was right all the time.
10 grandchildren, 4 great-grandchildren, 5th one on the way who will not be vaccinated. They're all extremely healthy.
I've never had a vaccine of any kind, not one. In my entire life, 61 years on this planet, not one vaccine, never had one.
For many years, millions around the world have erroneously believed that vaccines are safe and protective against diseases and infections. But with the advent of COVID-19, the world has since found this to be a great fallacy.
Have you received any vaccination against COVID? What you put into your body? And for me, that is essential. It's really the principle of understanding what is right and what is wrong for you. And me as an elite professional athlete, I've always carefully reviewed, assessed everything that comes in from the supplements, food, the water that I drink, or sports drinks, anything really that comes into my body as a fuel. Based on all the informations that I got, I decided not to take the vaccine.
I have 3 grandchildren.
Oh, they're not. Did you vaccinate your children?
No, I did not. They're all completely unvaccinated. I can probably count on one hand how many times they've had to go to the doctor in their entire life.
I have 15 or 16, I think, to track, 15 or 16 nieces and nephews, and none of them have received vaccines, and they're all very healthy kids as well.
They're all so healthy. It's like they don't have asthma. It's like they're not sick all the time.
They fare so much better and heal so much quicker. My kids are super healthy.
They are very healthy kids. They have traveled too many places. My kids have gone to Nicaragua. You can't get more country than that, trust me. No vaccines. I have super healthy, great, unvaccinated kids.
So we're under huge pressure from people that we're putting people at risk because we're not vaccinated, which is the biggest load of bullshit I've ever heard in my life. Biggest load of bullshit. I can't put it any other way.
Vaccination from its very beginning was insincere. You do your research, it was insincere from the very beginning. So it is unlikely, and that's why they got the Congress in the United States to pass a bill that exonerates them from any damage. Think about it. No matter the damage caused by vaccines, they're free. The big pharma will be free. Why did they seek that? Because they knew there would be trouble. They knew they did something terrible.
People are literally being mind controlled with very sophisticated technology and subliminal programming and media persuasion, where people they really like and admire are absolutely encouraging them to do something. And they can't fathom that it could be dangerous. They just can't believe that the government would lie in a way that would kill millions of people and disable millions of people. They can't fathom it.
I was a father of a 16-year-old son. Single parent. I raised my boy since he was a baby. He meant the world to me. I got the vaccine to protect my son. And in March, April, they're announcing it was safe for teenagers. Me and my son have never been apart. We're always together. He was my best friend. I always told him it would be you against the world. We got the Pfizer vaccine because I thought it was to protect him. I thought it was the right thing to do. It was like playing Russian roulette. My government lied to me. They said it was safe. And now I go home to an empty house.
Colton was a 13-year-old healthy, strong boy. He loved anything that has to do with an adrenaline rush. Motocross was his passion. The doctor says, hey, he's the age that you should get the HPV vaccine. I said, okay. So he was administered the vaccine. And then this is the last day he got to ride that big boy bike. And that day he came home, he was starting to feel nauseous, really sore neck. He still didn't want to get out of bed. I just thought, man, you're just really weak and exhausted. And that evening, when he sat up to take a drink of water, he just flopped back, and his head just hit the pillow, and I went, Colton, are you going paralyzed? They immediately took him down to Primary Children's Hospital in Salt Lake. Original diagnosis was transverse myelitis. When the doctor came out and asked me, has he been sick? I said, no, he hasn't been sick. He had the HPV vaccine on February 1st, and they went, oh. Well, we'll be reporting that to bars.
It does suck, like, not being able to play sports anymore. Now I have to sit on the sideline and just watch everybody. Gotta do your research, like, you can't just trust a doctor anymore. Do your own ways to find out what's best for you.
You have to ask the right questions, and probably, because some of the doctors themselves don't know. They don't do it. A lot of the doctors don't do any research. They just sit down there and they're given things to use to treat, and that's all they do. A lot of them don't read. They say they have no time. So when you are depending on your doctor and you think you're going to ask the doctor questions and he's going to answer you, he can only answer you what he knows. What if he doesn't know? And I just said most of the time he don't know.
My name is Lisa Rankin. I'm a family physician.
I'm Dr. Judy Mikovits.
My name is Dr. Patricia Ryan.
I'm Paul Thomas. I'm a professor of medicine at West Virginia University School of Medicine.
I'm Cornelia Francis.
And you are a pediatric doctor.
I am a pediatric doctor.
And how long have you been practicing as a pediatrician?
A really long time. Over 30 years.
I'm Tammy Benton.
Jane Orient. I'm an internist in Tucson, Arizona.
I'm Dr. Ramon Ramos. I'm a pediatrician here in Savannah, Georgia.
I'm an emergency room physician. My name is James Schwarter. I'm a physician in Ann Arbor, Michigan.
So when you first started out to be a doctor, what kind of training did you get on vaccines?
Honestly, I don't remember very much conversation at all.
We were just taught that they help prevent disease.
We were told on our rotations that vaccines were safe and effective. Here's the schedule.
We are not taught about certain vaccines. We are just taught what the schedule is like.
Safely effective and they save millions of lives. We learned the schedule. My name is Dr. Sherry Penton of Cleveland, Ohio. I've been researching problems associated with vaccines since September of 2000. I've put well over 20,000 hours of my own time into researching these problems with vaccines.
My name is Dr. Suzanne Humphreys. I am primarily educated with a BA in physics, and then I went on to medical school and studied internal medicine and specialized in nephrology. What made me realize there might be a problem with vaccines was one of my own patients telling me that they were fine until they had that vaccine. So I investigated and found out that his kidney function was perfectly normal before he was given a vaccine, and he was requiring dialysis within a month afterward. I just felt like I needed to know the truth. And if the truth was that vaccines were safe and effective in doing what they said, then I would have been primary proponent for vaccines. I'd be marching to the drum of vaccination. I just needed to know, were vaccines actually causing problems in my patients or weren't they? I couldn't stop myself from researching after that because there was just so much evidence and there were so many things that I was discovering while I was looking into the safety of vaccination that really blew my mind. And in a kind of a morbid way, I found it fascinating because history was being rewritten in my brain from what I was programmed to believe.
For many years, the public has been calling for a proper comparative study between vaccinated and unvaccinated children. Yet several scientists who attempted and
you have those who don't agree with the stupid things they have done. But the perpetrators of this evil have connected with so much money, so much financial assets to silence the dissenters. So no matter how they disagree with the perpetrators, they are unheard. Like if you told big tech is silencing dissent. How? Refusing to let your voice be heard, censorship. They're deciding what should be heard, what should be known, and what should not be known. After sucking everybody into their platform, now you all believe in their platform, and they decide to let you speak or not let you speak.
It's a very hostile environment, both scientifically and in the media, for individuals who reach conclusions or have opinions that counter mainstream ideas.
How many patients overall in the end did you end up treating children?
Well, I had 10 to 15,000 active patients, which means they've been seen in the last year.
Okay. Because you did a study on your 50,000 active patients.
Right. Well, actually, the study was on every baby born into my practice, so not the whole practice. I would looked at all health outcomes comparing vaccinated, and in my case, they were variably vaccinated, not CDC vaccinated, to completely unvaccinated, and see the difference. And we published that study, and within days of that study being published, and I see it on your screen, you're seeing the title of that study. Why? I said, well, they had an emergency meeting, and you are a threat to public health.
For doing science, for saying, hey, I just
see a problem.
Showing you the data.
Right.
That's I have a very large practice. I can show you the kids. I can show you all that data, and it's saying what it's saying, and that makes me dangerous.
Right.
And they silenced, though they fired some of them from their jobs.
There's over 10,000 dead people in Europe that died on days 1, 2, and 3 after the vaccine. Why are we pushing this in a way where people's jobs and their education and their livelihood decide on a decision that's potentially fatal? There are parents that say, listen, I want my kid to go to college this year, but I don't want to lose him to the vaccine. They know what's going on. The internet is full of these cases. Blood clots, strokes, immediate death.
In spite of being protected against 3 deadly diseases, the introduction of DTP was associated with increased overall mortality. Children who received DTP vaccine had 5 times higher risk of dying than those who didn't. And this is just one example of many studies now done of DTP vaccine, and they all show the same. DTP vaccinated children had higher mortality than those who didn't get DTP. So it appears that DTP vaccine has negative non-specific effects. The protection against the 3 deadly diseases comes at a very high price, maybe increased risk of dying. So, with the best of intentions, the use of DTP vaccine may kill more children than it saves. I know these results are extremely uncomfortable, and most people, including myself, just wish they weren't true. But this is what the data tells us.
I told you they were not vaccines. I told you they had nothing to do with health. It was a fraud. I told you those vaccines have nothing to do with health. And I explained to you what they were doing. evil behind their agenda.
In 2017, Dr. Marcus J. Zervos, head of infectious disease at Henry Ford Allegiance Health System, agreed to conduct a study comparing vaccinated and unvaccinated children, and the results were nothing short of mind-blowing.
In early total vaccines compared to those who had one or more vaccines, the study was based on actual medical records. Meaning, finally, a large vaccinated versus unvaccinated study using health data from a major United States health institution, something, as the IOM pointed out, never existed before. The study began by explaining it set out to reduce that vaccinated children had 4.29 times the rate of asthma, 3.03 times the rate of atopic disease, 5.96 times the rate of autoimmune disease, and 5.53 times the rate of neurodevelopmental disorders, which included 3.28 times the rate of developmental delay, and for which there were numerous cases in the vaccinated group and 0 in the unvaccinated group, hence a rate could not be calculated, including brain dysfunction, ADHD, learning disabilities, intellectual disabilities, and tics. For example, there were 260 cases of ADHD in the vaccinated group, and there were none